Yeah, there we go. All right. So now this is our first of two panel discussions, and we're joined by some very esteemed colleagues from partners. We have our Chief Growth Officer and founder of B Global Solutions, Ernesto Bianchi. We have Nabil Samuel Dean coming from our partner Solutions Metrics, who is one of our premier sponsors today. We have Jignesh. Hopefully I didn't kill that for you. Jignesh. All right. Global Managing Partner of BFSI CRM Advisory at TCS. We have Julian Masalenko, CEO of TBI Information, coming all the way from Bulgaria today. So that's amazing. And then we also have myself and our Chief Sales Officer of the Americas, Andy Zambito. So today we're going to be talking about back and middle office automation and how that's enabling financial institutions to drive change within their organization. We saw the process map for financial services, and we can see how all of those processes are interconnected, right? And we talked about how to bring all of that together into a single ecosystem. So, gentlemen, I'll throw the first question out there. Let's define what those workflows are that fall within the back and middle office. And I'll throw that, because my Celtics are moving closer to the finals, I'll throw that out there like a jump ball. So who would like to take that first question? No volunteers? Do I call on somebody?
I can take it.
Use me as your fallback.
All right.
So most of the middle office workflows, right? So middle office, as we see, is supporting your front office and exchanging information from back office to front office, and as and when we need it, right? So considering, as the slide that you showed earlier, right? Your front office is your marketing, sales, services, your customer experience, right? Whatever data they need as part of the customer experience to give back to the customer. If it's a service guy who's sitting on the call center, right? They need the customer 360 data, which includes your customer accounting, customer engagement that they have, any offers, promotions that they need to kind of send to the customer. If customer is going through any other process of lending, credit card application, any compliance, risk processing, any lending part of it. So all of those middle office workflows, which will include your compliance, your customer 360, your credit rating from the lending perspective, and any data that is needed to support that front office process that your back office needs to get it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great example. Anybody want to add to that?
So I'm just going to piggyback off that because obviously, like, you know what, the middle and the back office they're responsible for is eventually the front office, which is basically client facing. And you know, if you like just pick up your phone and Google right now, you will find like 100 of trends, you know, going on in the FinServe industry. But there are like, you know, 3 that I would really like to highlight today. And number 1 is like, you know, online banking, for example. I mean, just think about it. How do you pay your bills every month? You know, directly from your account, like, you know, either through your credit card or through your, debit checking account or whatever. And I mean, let's not take that for granted. You know, a few months ago, I was back home and I saw people standing outside a bank for a couple of hours just to pay their telephone bills, you know. So really, I mean, Fintech has really, like, you know, made massive leaps in the last couple of decades, you know, I would say. So online banking is a huge trend. The second thing, of course, is digital currencies. So, I mean, there's a statistic which says that in the last 30 years, almost 600 currencies have disappeared from the face of the earth. Don't ask me which ones. I have absolutely no idea, unless or until you guys do. But it's a fact. Like, I mean, think about it, Bitcoin, think about cryptocurrency. So eventually, I think it's reasonable to expect that, you know, in the next few years, probably all of the transactions that will be happening are probably like, you know, digital currencies as well. And finally is the information. The third part, the third trend that has really hit FinTech is information. How much information does the bank really want on their customers? It's like, you know, what are their likes? What are their dislikes? What sort of like, you know, browsing, for instance, on the online they do, like, you know, are they going to like, you know, Tinder, or are they going to a website called, you know, Lord is my savior? And, you know, that's how you like profile your like, you know, customers. And then through products at them that will eventually match their lifestyle. So I think these trends in particular, they guide the banks or the insurance companies or any other players in fintech towards what they want to achieve at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Hope it answers.
No, it was a great answer, Nabil. And you know, so we know that you know, this overall experience, right? Whether that's customer experience, employee experience, is at the forefront of you know, any financial institution's you know, strategy, right? When it comes to how they're going to digitally transform. How do you think automating and connecting these middle office and back office processes can help influence the way that we manage our customer experience and our employee experience? Oh, there we go.
I don't know if I need this. I was joking with a few people that it seemed like maybe I'm a mistake on the panel, but I actually have direct experience.
See?
My first, one of my early roles in my career was I was an underwriter for the high-tech industry. And I will tell you that one of the little known secrets in financial services is that a lot of things that you might assume as a consumer are automated or not, and that there actually are people that are making these choices and decisions of whether you give somebody a credit line or whatever it might be. And I was on the business side of things looking at entire portfolios, and I can speak firsthand that it directly impacted the decisions that were made when you understood the context of this customer. When the customer might also be a policy owner, when they have, you know, they mean so much dollars in business. And so the access to that information, when we go back to your original question, I think of this as the middle office are those that are directly supporting the front office, meaning they have to be engaged in order for that front office to complete their engagement. If they're not communicating, they're using different systems, they are seeing the consumer, they're seeing the customer differently, and therefore making different decisions and impacting everything from that specific transaction to the overall loyalty and view of the brand that that customer has based on that experience. The back office, I think of as more as the easy way to think of it is like in the stock world, it's like doing reconciliation of the transactions. It's not interacting with the customer. It's much more like a compliance-oriented or operational piece. Plenty of room for automation. I think it has less impact on that direct customer engagement and experience. But the middle office is pretty much what the front office is beholden to in financial services. So I want to do any number of things. Now I have to go to the middle office to determine it. And they often are seeing the world differently. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or operating at a different pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Julian.
I can try to give a practical example from our experience with the insurance company. We had a case where the normal claim process, how it's proceeding. The customer is coming, submitting a claim into the office on paper. This paper is starting to move in different departments or different approvals to collect and so on. It took approximately 15 days in past. We are talking about health insurance, and some of the claims are really very small, something like, let's say, 15 euro. And for this 15 euro, you're spending the same time like a claim for, let's say, 2,000 euro. When we automated the process, the customer was able to submit everything online, means to put it with the mobile app, make pictures, and then send it to the insurer company. Then they keep the process exactly the same. It go on the same flows, like everybody is looking from the claim adjusters, one person confirming, second person rejecting, then goes to arbitrage, somebody's deciding what to do and so on. And after some months, they analyzed how much is the cost to proceed one claim, and simply make a decision that any claim which is less than this cost, they will automatically approve it. Because if they proceed it, they will lose in any case. And currently, around 15% of the claims are automatically confirmed. Mm-hmm. Just not deal with anything. They're automatically they're coming from the customer get payment on the next day. Mm-hmm. And this is really the example how you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think these have been like great examples, right? Like as well, like we talk about all of the, I didn't know if you had something to say. No, I'm good. But great examples of like, these middle office and back office processes, right? So, you have all of these different teams, you have all of these different processes. Your example, Julian, is amazing, right? Like, because you have to analyze that process. What's going to be profitable, what's not going to be profitable. I think the challenge that a lot of financial institutions have is how do you connect them, right? So earlier we talked about lending process, right? Like if you're a consumer, I might go out and submit a lending application online. Well, what happens to it after that, right? It goes through an approval process. It gets accepted. It gets going through a KYC process, loan origination, underwriting. It goes through many, many different steps. What's the best practice to kind of interconnect all of that together? Right? Because it does. It's used from front office, middle office, back office, and then sometimes loops back around again, right? To how, maybe how do we onboard that customer at that point? What is the best way to kind of interconnect those processes, do you feel?
Well, I guess that the best way to do that is eat the elephant by pieces. So, yeah, and take advantage of no-code local solutions like Creatio, because you can improve your process or build your process or your integration in a way that you can evolve and learn for each space that you are connecting. So in that way, it will be more easy to find, will be the gaps to be covered more fast than others, and to apply it and build and learn itself for your own process. So you can measure that, take advantage of the results, and deliver the next phase of the process on that. So that is a good approach to take on that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think to add to what he said, right, is first, as you said, too many processes. So identify which are the key important ones that will give you the best value for automating part, right? I mean, and which are the most valuable from your customer experience, user experience, employee experience, as well as the overall onboarding and KYC process, right? Because you don't want your customers to submit the documents where the documents are lost somewhere, where five days they are still waiting for their KYC to be approved. Or any kind of onboarding. They want to open an account. They want an instant account opening as well as the deposit in being there so that they can use their money. So evaluate those processes, orchestrate them with either the automated workflows, your low-code BPM solution, your orchestration, because orchestration is main thing. From the middle office to back office to send that data and get that data, right? They really need to have that connections built, either your batch or APIs, that you can get the efficient information back.
Absolutely. A bit of a controversial answer to this one. I think it somewhat agrees. It somewhat aligns with what we're hearing, but I firmly believe, and not just with banking, but particularly in financial services, many of the processes we have are there because they accumulated over time, and new regulations, new requirements, everything was added. So I try to challenge folks to just step back for a moment from being in the middle of it, and first ask yourself, if you were starting now, what would you do? Because one of the number one challenges for banking today, for example, is that a fintech startup can start out with a much different economic strata, not having to have brick and mortar and the rest, and can pick off one vertical slice of your business, say trading or credit cards or something else, and do that completely differently because they don't have all of other antiquated things. So if you first start from, how would I build this if I were building it now with a whole new, or without any technologies, what would I actually want that process to look like, is a good starting point. Then I think if you start mapping out the processes you also have accumulated over time, it quickly identifies, and so this is when you get, when I think I cross over, when you get to the no-code, low-code area, which is then saying, okay, well, these are actually all the same thing. They're happening in different orders in different places, and they're utilizing some of the same assets. And oh my gosh, they're also being housed in whatever 3 different systems or going through 14 touch points that I can reorder, eliminate, or do the rest, which is that kind of rationalization that you're talking about. So before I even think about applying a technology to it, I'm a big believer, if you guys haven't watched like Simon Sinek, Golden Circle, but start with why. I break it down even further. Just start with why for everything. Why are we doing this? What is our ultimate goal? What would we do if we could do it differently? And then I'm also obviously a true believer, I wouldn't be here, that the way to best address that is through no-code, because then what you end up finding is you have all these reusable components. And so that as you then, and when I talk to customers often about future proofing, it's because you don't want to now get yourself back into that mix. Even if I solve it at this point in time through traditional methods, then I will be left 6 months, a year, 18 months, coming back to that saying, geez, now I've got this other thing I've layered on. 3 new regulations have popped up. We've opened up to another country or another state, changes everything. Versus what reusable components do I have? And oh, I see it's actually just an easy change that I can do here, or I can still go back and rethink things. So I don't know if that's controversial, but I think that far often we just accept the way it is and why it's there, and we ignore it, and then we say, now what can we do going forward to make it a little better, a little faster, a little cheaper, a little easier, versus realizing it's a whole new thing we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great point. So if we think about the benefits customers can have by orchestrating this across their organization. I always give this story. I had a customer, Iowa. It was a bank in Iowa, and they were challenged with their lending process in their branch locations. Right? Someone would come into the branch location, apply for a loan, sign here, initial here, sign here, initial here, fill in your information on all of these different forms. After the stack of paper was complete, they took it into a loan officer and laid it on their desk. And of course, that loan officer is on the phone with somebody else, and the customer is still waiting in the lobby to see what happens. And an hour would go by, and that person would walk out the door, right? I don't want to be involved in this process. So that's like a consequence of not having this process orchestrated, right? You could lose people within that process. It's also very manual, cumbersome, right? It's taking, that front office branch worker away from other customers, right? You're just involved in this process. So those are the consequences for not having this orchestrated. What do you think the benefits or the biggest benefits are by orchestrating that interconnectivity between front office, back office, middle office applications? What do you think the biggest benefits are for organizations?
Well, your competence is just one click of distance of you. So the main benefit in that is the speed to solve and to react with the customer in front of you, despite his presence or his online. So that is the main part of the impact of that. And after that is all the process aligned and structured to be more efficient in that term. So if you react properly and on time, when the customer acts with you and with your system, you will be more efficient and capture more customers.
Mm-hmm. So that is main thing is time is money, right? I mean,
yeah.
The sooner you react, you can close your business. The customer is happy. The employee is happy who's supporting the sale. Mm-hmm. It's kind of encouragement, and customer will come back, right? So if you give that seamless experience, I think it helps win-win situation for everybody.
I completely agree. I think the benefits, though, I think every bank or institution, I think, understands the benefits. I think where they get in their own way is thinking, in order to do what you just said, I have to align this. I have to get it perfect. I've got to step back. I've got to get all of this figured out, as opposed to you can incrementally make the adjustments that'll have miles of gain. But experience has taught them, if I don't understand all of it, the unintended consequences are so bad. That's actually a technology, an infrastructure, operations challenge. It's not a challenge with tackling the benefit. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think we've been talking about it more industry-wise than technology. Sure, we're happy to give that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, customer experience is really important. We all know that. Mm-hmm. That's just theory. How do we use Creatio to...
Right, absolutely. So the way that this particular bank leveraged the technology, right? So rather than having... Oh, can you hear me okay? No? You can hear me? All right. Yeah. All right. Good. So the way that they'll leverage that, right? So the customer comes in, and rather than filling out a form, they're just asked some questions as the branch person is typing that into a profile, right? So after that form is filled out online, rather than having multiple forms to fill out, we already captured that data, right? So we've built an application now that data will go out into each portion of that paperwork that needs to be filled out. So they don't have to repeat all of that information again. They also leverage electronic signature, right? So you accept once for electronic signature, and that's built into the process as well. So once that's all captured and all signed, they click a button, and it goes to the next stage in the process, right? So it doesn't get left on someone's desk as a pile of paper. it comes into the Creatio platform where they receive an alert. Hey, you have this application to approve. So that person, regardless of what they're doing, gets an alert. They can take a look at it, approve, click a button, and it moves to the next stage in the process, right? So what they did is they mapped out that entire workflow of how they come in and automated it to a point where what took over an hour now takes minutes, right? Because all they have to do is collect the data one time, collect the signatures, and then just drive it through the process using our workflow automation tools.
That's assuming the Creatio is then integrated with the LOS system.
Yes.
And
Yep.
the call center is a CRM or frontline.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about like Creatio as a whole, that's really what it is. It's a unified engagement platform, right? Again, we talked about that earlier, not taking over the core or the lending system or anything else, but not having to access all of those systems in that process, right? So now I have a unified environment where I'm just keying in. I don't have to go toggle between different types of applications. I'm not using email for approval. Everything is coming through the platform in a very streamlined way.
I'll go further and say that we had some examples here also about how to triage things as well. So at least in Creatio specifically, in the no-code way, you have the ability to deploy machine learning AI as well to actually replace human decisioning for some of these. So if it meets these criteria and it gets flagged that way, automatically keep moving it as opposed to stop and wait and have that be more of the exception management. And it can learn over time as other machine learning models can. And this is no longer the realm of a data scientist. This is me as a person. And then to your point, if you have like the call center, same thing. That logic now, they see the customer differently because I have all of this is on one unified data repository. So all of the views of this client are accessing the same information, and that machine learning can put next best offer, next best action to that agent that's sitting there. And so it's no longer some other department later down the line gets an indication that says, hey, I should have made let's go reach out to them and make another offer. So prime examples of customers that are here today that you can speak with. I don't want to speak on their behalf, so we have one that's a credit union that they realized their first interaction point of entry was third-party auto lending. But they also knew that if they acted within a certain window of time with that person, they could solidify them and get them into the larger organization. Otherwise, they were going to lose them. But the systems downstream didn't have visibility into that. This is where they started deploying Creatio. They started with that. Didn't have to be the whole thing. And then over time, they added those departments, those elements, those areas, and each one has benefited accordingly. There are others in the room, I'll see now, that have taken certain processes, cut the timeline in half or a third of the normal activity for a particular area. So I don't know if this is answering your question. I mean, I'd be happy to make sure we get somebody to come sit with you and walk you through a demo.
I'd like to talk to you again because I was wondering if you guys have like ready-made financial services and interface.
Oh, I see your question. Yes.
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 All of these, like to configure that.
Fair question.
Data has to be there, yeah?
So you have at the bottom level of the platform, you have this, what we're talking about, no code, and yes, the ability for you to create everything. But you're right, if you had to go and do that every time and build it, where's your real advantage? So on top of that, so we have, yes, the ability to no code build applications and build processes, anything you want. But then you're right, you don't want to have, let's dump a box of Legos and say, just now, good luck, right? So on top of that, we've already built industry-leading CRM, which gets you, marketing, sales, service, all there. On top of that, we've built a banking-specific one. So if your bank has underwriting and lending and all those elements. So if you wished, off the shelf, you have an automatic end-to-end banking experience, and then you use no code to make it uniquely yours. These are things that we do differently. This is why we're special. This is why we're unique. And that's what you're doing for your implementation, is not building it. But then you're also going to have 3 other things that are not part of our solution that are key to your business, or that you think would just be super beneficial. For my teams, they're already in here using this they're doing all their account-related work. Hey, you want to put in for vacation? Hit the request button, do all that. You got some expenses, do all that. And we've built all that as easy little add-ons because they're already in there. And that's an example. Does that help? And so, yes, we can absolutely get somebody to give you a workshop on what is already there end-to-end for banking. That's why I think you see a lot of us are just kind of, you're right, I think we jumped to a conclusion.
Yeah, we did jump to a conclusion, but if you go back to the earlier presentation where you saw that big process map, right, with all those little individual processes, that's what we've already automated in Creatio. That's what we've built. It's there. So you can leverage it, you can modify it very easily, or to Andy's point, you can build from scratch. But on top of that, we also have a marketplace that all of our partners sitting up here contribute to. So other workflows that you might need. So again, whether that's a lending application, loan origination, you can pull that off of the marketplace and drop it into your instance as well, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. You may have to tweak it to meet your specific business requirements, but it's also available.
So it's like a combination that we saw in the morning, right? It's a fusion team, right? A part of Creatio's built components that you can drag and drop on your workflow, and part maybe as per your need, you may have to create custom, extend some of those workflows to plug it in to build that middle layer of the automation.
That's quite possible.
Yeah.
So let's fix that.
There we go. Yeah.
I saw a question in the back. Yes. So
Yeah.
Do you guys have integrations into FIS Global, Fiserv, Jack Henry? Is that even relevant?
Yeah, oh no, it's very relevant. Yeah, so we are, all of everybody that you see sitting up here is integrated to FIS, Jack Henry, other applications. We are in the process of building pre-built connectors, but as you probably understand, those pre-built connectors are only going to take you so far. They need to be configured a little further as you go. But yeah, our partner community has tons of experience integrating. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, if I may add, I love the question that you put over there. And one of the USPs of Creatio, actually, we work with a lot of CRM companies, and something clients that used to face were challenges around user friendliness, which was about configuring CRMs. So one of the biggest advantage of Creatio is their no-code, low-code approach. So basically, any business user, without any development skills, can create workflows on Creatio themselves. So you identify a workflow, and it's as easy as dragging and dropping. And you're creating a workflow that, once the application comes in, it goes to person A, person B, person C automatically. And if one person, or if there's let's say blind spot, or somebody is not moving, it's a roadblock, the system will automatically ping and let you know that these are past due activities that need to be moved forward.
I think we can talk about some of those integrations to middle office to the back office and see, because we have some experience on that.
Excellent. All right. Well, gentlemen, audience, we are out of time for this panel discussion, but I'd like to thank all of our esteemed speakers. I would like to thank the audience, also very insightful questions. Hopefully you were able to take away a little bit about driving that efficiency and how to orchestrate your workflows throughout the organization. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, guys.